and detailed a blueprint like the one that we painstakingly worked with the architect and taken it to the city hall over and over again over a period of a year to get it finally finalized and approved. These are the plans, the blueprints that God has given to Moses. And he said to him, build an ark. A golden ark. And in the ark, you put, the people put in there a manna. God's divine manna, the food that he fed his people in the wilderness. If you remember, in the Old Testament it tells us that God sent his people food when they were in the desert and there was no food. And he provided for them. He said, but believe and trust in me. You know what that means? Believe and trust in me. Because if you don't, things will not go right. He said, I will send you from heaven your sustenance. And he did. And it was a manna. And they ate it and got full. But he said, don't keep anything in the fridge. Don't put anything in the refrigerator. Don't save it overnight so you can have something tomorrow. Because all what I want you to get it here is that I have your tomorrow. I have your tomorrow. You've got to think about being obedient to me and trust me blindfolded. Trust me. Complete trust. But Jesus, I get hungry. Lord, I get hungry in the middle of the night, so I got a snack. He said, trust me. My food will last you. It will keep you satisfied and full. Some of them got greedy and didn't trust him. So they took extra manna and kept it. And next day when they opened up the cover of the plate, and they discovered it had worms, it had everything. The Lord really infected it big time. Not a normal way, but big way. And almost you look at it and you want to puke. And I'm sure somebody did. But that was a lesson for them to learn and to trust and obey the Lord. In that tabernacle, there was the only manna that was preserved indefinitely. Indefinitely. In the tabernacle, in the golden tabernacle, were the tablets of the Ten Commandments. In the tabernacle was also the rod of Aaron that sprouted. You know, the dead staff that we have, we hear about so many holy fathers. Sometimes they tell their teachers, their disciples. He said, take my rod and plant it in the desert. And a good disciples would think, said, this is dead. Your rod is dead. But the Abba would say, water it every day. And when the obedient disciple, with faith and trust in the Abba, would water the rod every single day. Saint Isaac the Syrian, when he visited Egypt, one of his disciples did that. Or he did it to his disciples. And his disciples was so faithful that he watered it every day. In a short period of time, his rod, his staff, began to sprout. Life came back to it. Because of what? Obedience. And trust. Even in things that cannot be done. All the things that are considered to be impossibles. All the impossibilities. When you have faith, the Lord said, what is impossible for men, it is always possible for God. The tabernacle in the Old Testament became a symbol of the presence of God. Every place, every time they went to war, 4 men will carry the tabernacle, 2 on the back and 2 in the front. And that would proceed in front of the army. And then the people would lead. And they win their wars. Every time they encountered enemies, because of the presence of the tabernacle, all the wars were won. Until they lost the tabernacle. The tabernacle is the symbol and the prefigured symbol of the Mother of God. The one that we today celebrate her nativity. She was a miracle in her birth. Joachim, her father and mother, were very pious people. Have given their lives to God. And I'm sure it crossed their minds, how come they're barren? Lord, we love you and we've done everything that you always ask us to. Why don't you spare our aging situation and help us and bless us with a child? And for no avail, Joachim and Anna were so pious. 1/3 of their income went to the poor. 1/3 of their income went to the temple. And on 1/3 they lived. They didn't follow the tithing principle. They gave 1/3, and kept 1/3. 2/3 were given. And the kind of people that were pleasing to God on all different levels. And then the Lord heard them, and He gave them a child. And Joachim promised God, he said, Lord, if you give me a child, I will give that child back to you. It will be your son or your daughter. It'll be someone that would honor you and serve you all of his and her life. And when Joachim made the promise to God, the pledge to God, and upon receiving that child, he kept the promise. At age 3, the child was taken through a caravan, a religious caravan from Nazareth all the way to Jerusalem, and given to the temple. And given to the temple to Zachariah. Who is Zachariah? Anybody remember who Zachariah is? Any connection? Related to John the Baptizer. Was the father of John the Baptizer. And he was the husband of Anna's niece. So you see the link, the religious and the family link between them. And then Zechariah took her in as if she was his own, because he didn't even have a child of his own. He was dreaming to have a child of his own, but he never did. And he treated her in a very special way when she entered into the temple. She was the only child, the only person that served in the temple. And many kids were given to the temple to be raised in the temple, the same way we do it nowadays in our monastic, in our Orthodox communities. We take our kids and we offer them to the church, and they go into monastic communities and live there at early age. I know 4 or 5 priests in our archdiocese that grew up in monasteries. Father Elias, who's now retired, Elias Bitar, Metropolitan Joseph, was given into the monastery. Metropolitan Philip, the same way. They were given into the monastery to be raised in the monastery and educated and grown in that stuff. The Mother of God was the same way, except she was exceptional.